I have hair in my armpits.
Just a reminder that I am very fat and very sexy.
So, your child has come out to you.
I've had the revelation that I identify as non-binary.
I am still not certain what to make of this. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. So before we do this, before we do the meat and potatoes, two very important things. Number one, new tea is here. It's finally in stock. So I have been packing and shipping your orders. Once again, on a serious note, thank you guys so much for being patient. I know that these pre-sale times are very long, but I am so excited for you to try the new tea. I think you'll really like it. And if you don't, I'll force you. But number two, and more importantly, your girl, your hell gondola steerer, director, stick wielder, your girl is going on tour in October. So in a couple months there will be 9 shows, which means that we can all meet and gather together on our hell gondola, and you're gonna love it. And you might be wondering, Sydney, what precisely are you gonna do that's gonna entertain us? And that, Simon, is a great question. I have been thinking about this for a number of months and have some of my own fun ideas, but honestly, I actually really would like input from all of you because you guys also have good ideas. So tell me, what do you want to see? Maybe a little bit of this. Or a little bit of this. But you weird internet people know what ain't manly? When my testicles get squished and touch my legs. Who knows? But what I do know is that you should all 100% go into my description box, buy some tickets, and come see me. And I'll see you, and it will be wonderful because on an actual serious note, I do love running into you guys in everyday life. So I think this will be that, but times 1,000. And that sounds like a lot of fun. And I promise from the bottom of my little heart, I will not bore you. I promise you that. Anyway, tickets in the description box, get around it. I am very much looking forward to meeting all of you guys and you guys meeting each other because although this is not a cult, it could be. Okay, back to the video. So the other day I was perusing the internet, as I do. It's a problem really. And I came across a tweet that perfectly encapsulated a thought that I have also been having recently. In response to a new picture of Demi Lovato looking very feminine and beautiful, the author wrote, said this on Instagram not too long ago, but there was this weird trend where people, mainly celebrities, were uglying, that's very hard to say, uglying themselves, embracing gender dysphoria, and just overall promoting mental illness / an unhealthy lifestyle. It was roughly between the years 2016 to 2023. Something shifted at the end of 2023, and it suddenly became cool to be normal and hot again. Demi Lovato is the poster child of this phenomenon. She is indeed. Can't even remember to use her own they/them pronouns. Ironic.
I still mess up sometimes and, say, oh, I can't wait to be an aunt one day. And I'm like, wait.
But the reason seeing this post was so funny to me is because ages ago I had actually partially written a video asking why absolutely everything and everyone was so ugly. Modernity, Sydney. It's because of modernity. This was apparently the same idea that a lot of other YouTubers and journalists had as well, spanning multiple social and cultural ideas, with some commenting on how art and entertainment are both soulless and bland, how modern fashion is hideous, and the general unattractiveness associated with wokeism.
Why is everything so ugly? Why is everywhere we go, all of our stores, our advertisements, like everything that we interact with as people in the outside world, our TV, our music, why is it all so ugly?
Because as we've all learned over the last number of years, there is a reason why the blue-haired feminist stereotype persists. And we can all identify who is a they/them based on appearance alone.
I don't like lying to the world about who I am.
And the temper tantrums and screaming. Not too long ago, I even remember watching the Irish entrant for the Eurovision Song Contest and thinking, how did we end up here, where this type of thing has become culturally normalized? And people are clapping?
Do you know what makes me special? I'm a queer. And I'm a witch!
You are not queer. You are a straight person trying to be interesting. Anyway, the last decade or so has honestly been all about representation and diversity and body positivity and recently gender fluidity, giving us, I would argue, one of the ugliest periods in history. With all of this ideological ugliness injected into absolutely everything, from politics to entertainment to media to social media. But that seemingly has come to an end recently. Because finally, for the first time in a long time, being hot and normal is back in style. Thank fuck. So I want to talk about that because I find all these type of things very interesting, and also I get to remind you all about a lot of weird crap that you've probably forgotten. I'll also caveat here among my normal disclaimers, like this video is by no means exhaustive, that obviously attractiveness and ugliness are subjective things. There's also nothing wrong with promoting self-acceptance and actual body positivity around things that you can't change. No, that does not include being shaped like the Kool-Aid man. Sorry about that. I'm also only concentrating on one specific area of this conversation, but yes, I too would like McDonald's to look like it did in the 90s. So come on board, kids. Get aboard ye old hell gondola and let's do the thing because I am ready to re-traumatize you all. But before we once again cuddle up together, let's hear from today's sponsor, Chubbies. As all of you know, I like to make really silly ads for brands. Sorry, Murphy's down here. But for this one, the message is a little bit more serious, so I want to be a little bit more serious. I told all of you recently about how I have been suffering for a number of years from obsessive compulsive disorder brought on by anxiety, which thankfully has gotten better over the last number of years. Which is incredibly isolating when you're going through it, and unfortunately more and more people are suffering from anxiety and depression. So given that this issue is very, very close to my heart, when Chubbies reached out and said that they wanted to sponsor a video, I was extremely excited. These adorable little plushies are more than just a stuffed toy. They are part of a movement towards comfort, connection, and healing. And yes, they are super cute and soft on their own, let me tell you, but when you buy a Chubby, you gain access to a whole community full of therapeutic resources, stress management tools, and importantly, people who understand what you are going through. I love this concept. I love this idea. These are so freaking cute. And honestly, in an age where technology is isolating us further from one another, where we spend so much more time in our homes not connecting with one another, where a lot of people suffer in silence, I love that somebody is trying to build a community that is going to help people and provide resources towards making them feel better within themselves. My dogs have also been going crazy ever since I got these in the mail, and anything that has Murphy's seal of approval is amazing in my books. So if you too want a cute little friend to hug and also the support of a community, then click the link in the description or go to chubbies.com and don't forget to use code Sydney10 for 10% off your order. From the mid-2010s, maybe earlier, until very recently, there was a huge cultural change in the West when it came to attractiveness. There were a multitude of reasons for this, but some included a kind of knee-jerk reaction to the aesthetics of the 2000s, the rise of the body positivity movement, the emphasis on living one's truth and breaking gender stereotypes, and the feminist attempt to defy what men find attractive. And as a result, we got a wave of what I think has been the intentional uglification of seemingly everything and everyone.
I see a lot of discourse on TikTok about the male repellent outfit, and usually it's just like a cute little red cardigan and like maybe some ballet flats. But when I tell you, I'm gonna do you one more. This is the ultimate male repellent formula.
Like I mentioned, I think that this uglification is very strongly tied to the stranglehold that progressive woke ideals had on basically everything, and the aesthetics in turn showed up to match. Showed up to burn my retinas, actually. Celebrities all over the place were starting to hop on the transgender, non-binary, gender fluid bandwagon, going from being quite regular looking or attractive to ghastly overnight. People like singer Sam Smith, who came out as non-binary in 2019, and Demi Lovato, who came out in 2021, changed their appearances to match this development. Smith started appearing on stage wearing outrageous outfits, and that's honestly putting it pretty mildly. During various performances, the singer wore a red latex suit with devil horns, simulated sex acts on dancers on stage, and danced around in fishnets and a corset. At the 2023 Brit Awards, Smith wore an inflatable black Harry jumpsuit with platform heels. What am I looking at here? Head shaved, strange outfits and makeup, doing whatever could be done to appear as non-conventional as possible. And these are just a few examples of the physical changes. I'm not sure I'm brave enough to show you any others. This one is just very upsetting. All on its own. Sometimes I genuinely feel like stylists actually hate the people that they're styling. Because why would you do this? Anyway, Demi Lovato followed much the same path. In 2021, after her non-binary announcement, Lovato shaved her head, saying that the act was liberating and helped her shrug off gender and sexuality norms. Soon, she opted for baggy, grungy clothes and got a giant spider tattoo on the side of her head, as you do. Around the same time, she also freaked out about a frozen yogurt shop after being triggered by their selection of sugar-free options due to her previously having an eating disorder. But somewhere between then and now, both musicians moved very far away from this kind of appearance. Thank God. Lovato publicly ditched the non-binary thing, telling outlets back in 2022 that it was a lot of effort correcting people who used the wrong pronouns. Soon she got married and now she's making cute cooking videos. In fairness to Demi Lovato, she was a Disney kid, which I feel like answers a lot of questions in and of itself, and she has had a lot of struggles with addiction and with mental health and whatnot. So I think that her becoming what she is now and sort of returning to this feminized, feminine version of herself probably has more to do with tackling those existing issues rather than, I don't know, jumping off of the weird gender identity bandwagon. As far as Sam Smith goes, I don't know. But I do know that very recently, actually in the last couple of days, he posted 2 very nice looking pictures on Instagram and has essentially scrubbed his weird era from the platform entirely. So do with that what you will. This same transformation went for people like Miley Cyrus, Billie Eilish, and even Lizzo. All women who promoted specific, fairly visually unappealing aesthetics only to later turn around and more or less embrace normalcy. And I think this was guided by gender identity and this social concept of living one's truth and being one's authentic self. Basically, every single one of these people, with the exception of Lizzo, but we'll come back to her later, has claimed to be gender fluid or non-binary or some part of the LGBT community. And we see exactly this reflected in women, predominantly, over on TikTok. I am very sorry for what I'm about to show you. No, I'm not. I am lying. It is not a joke that you can look at someone and their particular aesthetic and be more or less able to identify their political leanings and beliefs.
Because I'm sexy and chubby, man.
Why aren't you on a diet?
Because I like to eat. Is that such a crime?
The TikTok gender identity aesthetics are based around signaling one's rejection of the male and female binary. Because those have always been the only 2 options, guys, I'm sorry. TikTok's anti-fashion trends have genuinely been an attempt to appear as unattractive as possible, and outside of the gender thing, they chalk this up to breaking beauty conventions. This is why we ended up with movements like Genuhairy that encouraged women to grow out their body hair, and women proudly participated in this.
I'm all natural.
So I have this thing, call it a little quirk if you will. I have hair in my armpits. I have it there for a few reasons. 1, lazy. 2, fuck the patriarchy. And 3, your response to them tells me everything I need to know about you.
Ma'am, I think you've been shaving the wrong part of your body. This is also why we ended up with such a huge fat acceptance community on the app. What initially started as body positivity, an idea that encouraged people to love themselves despite their flaws or whatever, morphed into fat people wanting representation absolutely everywhere, wanting to see themselves and be accommodated absolutely everywhere. This eventually turned into the outright normalization of obesity.
Just a reminder that I am very fat and very sexy, and I am 100% glorifying obesity. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, sorry, was I too confident in my own body that I overcame so many struggles to learn how to love? Oh, she's so full of herself now. Well, who the fuck fuck am I supposed to be full of if it ain't me?
I am both too young and too old to be seeing this. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand loving yourself, but maybe we could do that a little less loudly and on a treadmill. But as all of this gained in popularity, as more celebrities jumped on board, the corporate and entertainment spaces saw an opportunity to make a bunch of money. Suddenly, people like Jonathan Van Ness and Alok Vaid-Menon, a non-binary activist, were appearing in news and media absolutely everywhere. Back in 2023, Burberry published images for a Valentine's Day campaign showing a model with a most bizarre haircut, and that's honestly putting it pretty mildly, and another model with double mastectomy scars. For a high-end brand, this felt insanely out of place. I know this isn't directly related, but brands who had absolutely nothing to do with and weren't remotely in the realm of transgenderism decided to jump on the bandwagon too. Like Bloody Bud Light, the redneck man beer brand, partnering with Dylan Mulvaney. Who was this supposed to appeal to? I do think it's interesting that Bud Light has still not recovered from this. They trans, too close to the sun. We had this overemphasis on plus-size inclusion in absolutely everything, and as many of you know, this went far beyond showing everyday normal bodies and fully branched into promoting morbid obesity. Lizzo was the poster child for this, making videos defending being fat, suggesting those critical of her size were anti-body positivity. Tess Holliday was consistently in the news, and in 2018 she appeared on the cover of Cosmopolitan magazine, sparking an intense debate around the promotion of obesity. But she wasn't the only one, and Cosmo wasn't the only magazine. In the same year, Holliday appeared on the cover of the outlet Self. A few years later, in 2022, the same outlet published a series of images of a fat influencer called Jasmine, calling her the future of fitness. She also appeared on the cover of Cosmo. Sydney, not even close. It's pronounced Jessamine, I think. I don't know why you can't read. In 2020, Calvin Klein ran ads with fat trans model Yari Jones. Why are names so hard? Why am I this way? The year before, they ran a campaign with a model who is best described as obese. Never forget what they took from us. My issue with this specifically is that in an effort to jump on the body positivity bandwagon, what ended up happening was fat acceptance became more normalized and obesity became more normalized, and having deeply and inherently unhealthy habits became more normalized. And I guess what's interesting and what kind of fits into the overall vibe of this video is that many of the primary players during this time have either faded into nothingness or they've gone ahead and lost a ton of weight. Like Lizzo, who recently popped back up after having lost a tremendous amount of weight. And honestly, she looks really great, and I think this is actually quite a cool achievement for her. Same goes for other musicians like Meghan Trainor, who once wrote a song about not being skinny and borderline attacking thin people, only to become one of us, and now she looks like a snack. The point is, this period of time gave us some of the most bizarre and upsetting advertising that I have ever seen. All of these brands were trying to emulate the weird gender fluid aesthetics that were coming out of TikTok, and absolutely nobody can change my mind. This is what Gen Z does to us. Stop. All the while, this ugliness was unfolding in other places as well, like in architecture and art and film and television. Even in video games, characters were getting uglier and uglier. In an effort to appeal to female gamers, oh my god, and desexualize female characters, female protagonists were made fatter, less attractive, and more bland. Gone were the sexy outfits and beautiful faces, replaced by whatever the hell this is. And none of this translated. Instead, many gamers felt frustrated because nobody asked for this. I mean, one of the biggest draws of playing video games is the escapism that comes with it, so I really can't understand why that would end at attractiveness. I've also talked about this specific topic in another video in great detail, so I will link that in the description box if you're interested in actually hearing a full breakdown of this weird phenomenon. Anyway, the rise of gender ideology and and the trans movement and the fat acceptance movement and body positivity and the desire to see representation everywhere basically came together and created the perfect storm of ugliness. But fast forward to, well, now, and something has changed drastically. Yes, there are still plenty of weirdos running around on social media and in marketing and advertising and whatnot, but I think largely as the gender ideology and transgender movements have completely fallen off, so too have the aesthetics that have underpinned them. Same goes for obesity and fat acceptance. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's very little of this in advertising at the moment. There's very little of it in the entertainment and media spaces as well. And I think with the rise of Ozempic and similar type drugs, you see a lot of people now who are able to achieve their weight loss goals with very little effort, and I think that that means that body positivity has fallen flat on its face. Which to me is super interesting and probably warrants its own video, because it's like, I think it goes to show this whole thing about, oh, love yourself really only applies until you have the ability to actually look how you want without having to put in a ton of effort. Anyway, from celebrities to runways to media and entertainment, everyone seems to have said enough with the ugly. Now, instead of the Chapel Roans of the world, the golden girls of the hour are attractive women like Sabrina Carpenter and Sydney Sweeney. There has been this enormous shift away from the non-binary genderqueer aesthetic in the direction of normal again, with celebrities who once embraced all of this suddenly turning away from it. Runway shows, award shows are suddenly back to having people in normal clothes or beautiful gowns again. Ads and media are giving us attractive people again. Body positivity and fat acceptance is nowhere near as popular in advertising anymore. Movies like Barbie, for example, with its hyper-feminine aesthetic and lead actress Margot Robbie have popped up, appealing to millions of women with the emphasis on being feminine again. Even TikTok has promoted things like the mob wife aesthetic. I've had a lot of trouble saying that. Wearing fur coats, bold lipstick, and Barbiecore, which is exactly what it sounds like. So you might be asking, why the change? Why is everything suddenly cute and hot and skinny and conventional again? The simple answer is that celebrities and brands were trying to convince the rest of us that they were promoting self-love and self-acceptance by leaning into and embracing qualities and traits that weren't conventionally attractive. But the sudden abandonment of these specific aesthetics really goes to show that at its core, the push for all of this was really just marketing. At the end of the day, celebrities, brands, companies, whatever, just saw an opportunity to make themselves more relatable and human, I guess, by hopping on the ugly train because their fans and viewers and whoever else were jumping on the ugly train. Really, I just blame TikTok at this point. Brands saw a new sales demographic and marketing avenue, and everybody ran with it until they realized that the average normal person absolutely hates all of this. And I think that's actually a bit of a trend that I'm noticing here overall with these sort of issues, that there's so many people who misunderstand that what's popular on the internet is not actually popular among regular everyday people. And that's why these initiatives and these movements and whatnot fail on a long enough timeline, because normal people get sick of it, they eventually switch off, then brands notice that they can't make money from these sort of people anymore because we're not interested, and then little by little, the entire movement, ideology, whatever it is, completely falls in a heap. So in the end, obviously there is a ton to talk about when it comes to the uglification of society and culture and what have you, but as a general rule, I really believe that people are entitled to dress however they really want to. And as much as I am partial to dressing alternatively and being a little bit edgy, I am very, very glad to see the end of this weird period of time and the uglification of fashion and makeup and what have you. And if I'm being honest, I'm going to cross my fingers and toes and pray and hope that whatever we have just lived through does not make a resurgence. Now on that note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder, check out Chubbies using the link in the description. Like I said, this is a person who is part of our community, so go and show them some love, go and check out their cute little plushies, and obviously if it makes sense to you, definitely join their community. Now I open the floor to to all of you. What do you all think? Are you on my side of this issue where you think that this last, I don't know, decade or so has been uniquely ugly and terrible? Do you think that it's actually a good thing that people have the ability to express themselves like this, and regardless of their reasons, they should be able to do so? Do you think that all of this is a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Should we prioritize conventionally attractive things, or should we highlight things on the other side of the aisle? What do you think of the fat acceptance movement, the body positivity movement, the transgender movement, and all of the aesthetics that come along with those things? Are they good? Are they bad? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? What do you generally make of this issue overall? I'm sorry about my dog barking in the background. As always, if you've made it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you along for the full ride. If you are new here and you're not subscribed already and you would like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel, as well as leaving this video a like and a comment, because I do read the majority of them and I like hearing your feedback. Of course, and as always, I hope you little chicken people stay safe and well and make good choices, because those are important, and I will see your pretty little faces in the next video.